It's not. It's not. Welcome to Liquid Lunch. We're coming at you live. It's Friday, March the 16th, 2012. It's me and Sandra here today. Sandra.
Hello, Hugh. How are you?
I'm great.
Good. Beautiful day. My God.
It is. It's. We're a little ahead of schedule, aren't we?
You know what? I don't think we have a schedule. We've been ahead.
No, here's what I saw. I was watching the Weather Network, and they had, like, look at our weather. We're like 2 months ahead of schedule, right? It's like May, or at least late April here. By the way, Red's at the table. Join in anytime you feel like, Red.
Yeah, that's because time is speeding up.
No, it's because the Earth is turning on its angle. Look how cold it is, and I saw it was like I don't know, Tehran or something was, or Israel was like I mean, it was cold over there.
I think it's
like
snow?
Eastern Europe. That you know, it's just south of the Black Sea is like colder, way colder than normal. It's shifted. Right?
Wow.
Remember we saw the thing on the pole shift?
I know.
So we're further south than we used to be.
So, okay, so that means it's going to stay like this, right?
Excuse me, what day is
Red's here.
first day of spring?
First day of spring.
March 21st, officially.
Well, officially.
Yeah.
Great, because today is a spring day. So
yes.
I know.
whether the old man winter's gone out like a lamb, which I hope, or a lion, we don't know yet.
We forgot about that
Old
this
man
year.
Winter's dead.
I forgot about that this year. I can't even remember how March came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it came in like a lamb.
It did.
Yeah.
We have rain, no snow. I'm good with
it's
that.
Nice.
I'm so good with
that. It's raining at night, riding the bike during the day. It's beautiful. Okay. Anyway, we're lucky. We should be thankful. Is
Yes.
it the calm before the storm?
No.
Or should we just
No.
be thankful that
It's
it's
always
going to be
calm.
good? Watch out for March 22nd, though.
I know. There's supposed to be an earthquake,
Maybe
but
something
the
big.
earthquake that never happened.
Yeah. Okay. So Red's here, just joining us now. Red. Now you're just here for the banter part of the show, but what? You're going up north or something?
I'm leaving hopefully tomorrow. I'm going to be up north for a month, I hope. And coming back because I'm preparing for a show on the 13th of May at the Now magazine, and I'm just here today to
let's unveil it.
Showcase.
show this here piece here.
This is an amazing.
You
Can
go
we
ahead.
slide it in a little bit?
Well, let's just look at that. It's wow.
It's got two faces. It is an unbelievable piece. No matter which angle you look at it, it's different.
You made this, Red?
I'm part of that. This is done by Floyd Captana, okay, who is my teacher. We've been working together since '96. I need to dispose of this today. I did the shaping on that, and I need to dispose of this today because I want to get back up north and I want to pick up some flies here while I'm here. So
dispose means sell, right?
Pardon?
Dispose of means sell.
Well, either a collector or a gallery. I'm working today. I'm going to do that, and blessings are upon us as far as I can be more grateful.
So that's made out of?
That's made out of a Brazilian soapstone.
Brazilian soapstone.
Yeah.
That is stunning. It's red on one side and kind of green.
It's very powerful.
It is.
I don't know.
Is there a name for this, Red?
Yes, that's bird spirit.
Bird.
So you have a bird here, as you can see.
I think you have two birds there, or
There's a bird on the front.
and as it comes around, you can see the spirit of the man.
ah,
The most terrifying.
I see. Okay, so it's okay.
So the most terrifying thing I can see there, I mean, as far as you know, having a fear, would be the wings, because everything else seems to be like if you were standing there and you seen a wing like that, you would kind of be maybe startled, I would say, for sure, if it just was sitting there and just raised its wing.
Yes.
You would be kind of startled. Whether you would be fearful or not, I don't know, but that's the most fearful thing I can see that we've did in that sculpture.
Wow.
Everything else seems to be gentle.
Wow.
Now, the show that's in May at the Now Lounge, are you going to be displaying sculpture, or what kind of show is it?
Well, it's a variety show in that I'm the feature artist. It's my show. I'm putting who I wish to put in that show, and it's going to be a brunch from 12 till 3:30, and there's going to be jazz. There's going to be many different forms of art. Okay, different mediums, different artists, different...
So lunch or brunch, music, art. What day is this again? May?
Yeah, May what?
Mother's Day, May the 13th.
Oh, perfect.
At the Now magazine at Shooter and church.
And how much are tickets?
By donation.
Okay. So it's by donation. What a great Mother's Day gift.
It's supporting the Artists Together program, which we're working on.
I just got to say, I had brunch over at the Now Lounge not too long ago. Just about a 5-minute walk from here.
Did you?
And it was very good.
Wow.
Yes.
What a great idea for Mother's Day gift.
Well, what a great thing to do is hang out at the Now Lounge and see whatever you got in mind for people, Red.
Well, it's not me for sure, but I'm desperately, daily, momently getting out of the way because my life is a little more manageable. It's unmanageable, but it's a little more manageable in the light. You know, I, like everybody else, can come from darkness, but there's always a little crack in there, eh?
Yeah.
And as you go into that crack, it starts to open up. It starts to get brighter. It starts to get, your life becomes more rewarding, helping others through that.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Red, if people want to buy this sculpture, or is there a website or something where people can get in touch with you?
You just put on Captana, Floyd Captana. You'll see some wonderful works there that I've worked on, maybe quite a few of those with him.
Okay, and what's Captana? How do you spell that?
Kuptana.
Okay, Floyd Captana.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
Red, thanks for doing this.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
That is beautiful.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna get busy with the rest of the show.
Because we're packed.
We've got Dr. Shelly Reitkop coming on.
Okay.
She's a natural. You don't even know what we got on the show, do you?
No, I don't.
This is where you get to get excited, Sandra.
This is really in the moment because this is not rehearsed at all.
She's a naturopathic doctor.
Love it.
Right, and she's she's on a. She wants
My kind of doctor.
Help people on their health journey. So we're going to find out all about that. Also, we've got Gary Spring coming in talking about the miraculous Moringa tree. Have you heard of it?
No.
Well, we're going to find out all about it.
Wow. Sounds like it's from South America.
Who?
Moringa.
I think Philippines anyway. I don't know. We're going to find out. Also, Chris Porter, leader of the Canadian Action Party, is in the house today. He's running in Jack Layton's old riding.
Wow. Good luck.
And we've got Charles Beresford coming in, the CEO of Foods of the Earth.
Love
Inc.
Charles.
Yeah, you met Charles.
I did. He is amazing.
And also, in a similar vein, we got Jacob Kiri Moreland coming in from the Occupy Gardens for World Peas. Yes, peas. Give peas a chance. I think there's going to be some good.
You know, you had to say that.
I did, because it's PEAS.
Yes,
right? Like peas.
The kind you eat.
That's right. And I think there's going to be some good synergy there between Jacob and Charles. So we're looking forward to that.
Awesome. Sounds awesome.
Now, I know we're always talking about the 2012 stuff and the Earth Shift stuff, right? But apparently we have a video here that shows, it's from NASA, so you know that it's not
it's real
disinformation.
Oh no.
That there's nothing to worry about with the 2012 thing. Nothing to worry about.
If NASA says it, it's got to be true.
So let's watch this, and we're going to come back with Dr. Shelly Reitkop right after this as Liquid Lunch gets underway on a Friday. We'll be right back.
Predicted disasters that some folks think will come probably started with the so-called end of the Mayan calendar. Their calendar does not end on December 21st, 2012. It's just the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. It's just like on December 31st, our calendar comes to an end, but a new calendar for the next year begins on January 1st. Nibiru is supposed to be a planet that's 4 times the size of the Earth. It's going to get very close to the Earth and cause all kinds of disasters. So this enormous planet is supposed to be coming toward Earth, but if it were, we would have seen it long ago. And if it were invisible somehow, we would have seen the effects of this planet on the neighboring planets. Thousands of astronomers who scan the night skies on a daily basis have not seen this. And then there's folks who think that NASA astronomers are actually hiding this information so as to prevent panic from the populace. Can you imagine thousands of astronomers who observe the skies on a nightly basis keeping the same secret from the public for several years? Some folks think there's going to be a solar storm associated with December 21st of 2012. Now, solar storms do exist. The sun's activity goes through a cycle. It reaches a maximum every 11 years. The next solar maximum, when you might expect enhanced solar activity will take place actually in May of 2013. It's supposed to be a fairly mild solar activity maximum, and there's no evidence that there's going to be any solar storms. And then we have planetary alignments. There's a planetary alignment, the sun, the earth, and some of the planets are aligned, and this is going to cause some tidal effects on the earth that are going to be catastrophic. Well, first of all, there are no planetary alignments in December of 2012, and even if there were, there are no tidal effects on the Earth as a result. The only two bodies in the solar system that can affect the Earth's tides are the moon, which is very close, and the sun, which is massive and also fairly close. But the other planets have a negligible effect on the Earth. One of the myths for December 21st, 2012 is that the Earth's axes are going to somehow shift. The rotation axis can't shift because of the orbit of the moon around the Earth stabilizes it and doesn't allow it to shift. The magnetic field does shift from time to time, but the last time it did it was 740,000 years ago, and it doesn't do that sort of a shift but every 500,000 years or so. There's no evidence that's going to happen in December, and even if it were to be shifting, it takes thousands of years to do so. And even if it did shift, it's not going to cause a problem on the Earth, apart from the fact that we're going to have to recalibrate our compasses. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Since the beginning of recorded time, there have been literally hundreds of thousands of predictions for the end of the world. And we're still here.
All right, welcome back to the show. It's me, Hugh and Sanders here, and we're joined here now by Dr. Shelly Reitkop, naturopathic doctor.
That's me. Thank you so much for having me today, guys, on the show. I really appreciate it.
Let's just clarify. ND,
right?
means naturopathic doctor.
Yeah, but it sounds like MD, so you have to be careful.
All the time. I very often get MD instead of ND, and I always have to clarify. I'm like, no. I'm like, it's ND, naturopathic doctor. There is a huge difference between the two of us. So
yeah, because it's you know, because I was saying, you know, I thought about being a naturopathic doctor for about a couple of days, right?
A couple of days, that's it.
And I thought, what's going to happen? I'm going to be on an airplane, right? Somebody's going, is there a doctor on the house? That guy said he was a doctor. And it'd be like George Costanza going out and saving the whale.
But listen, we learn emergency medicine. We have a full degree program. We go through medical school pretty much. So
it's, I mean, it's as valid.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the thing. I think that's the stereotype that a lot of people think, oh, you're one of those kinds of woo-woo doctors.
A quack. The quack doctor, you know, oh, you're a witch doctor. I have some patients even say, you know, what kind of witch stuff are you going to do on me? And I always remind them, listen, I do everything based on scientific evidence.
Yeah, right? And you know what? In some ways it's older. In some ways it's older.
Of course.
Right, than the typical, because it's based on traditional, ancient, more, you know, the Eastern.
100%. You know what? When I learned about naturopathic medicine, I was studying for my MCATs. I was going into medical, conventional medical doctor. Like, that was the profession, the way that I was going. And I started learning and researching. I heard this naturopathic thing. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to research it. And I started Googling, you know, Dr. Google all the time. And I see these, you know, philosophies and principles. And I'm like, I thought this is what I was going to study. So when I understood that it wasn't what I was actually learning to study, and I said, oh, like, there's a difference between a naturopathic medicine philosophy and conventional medical philosophy, I just chose to go more the naturopathic route because I understood that I could still practice integrative medicine with medical doctors all the time. And I do that very often. Okay. So, you know, I really find that I try to bridge the gap between the conventional and the naturopathic fields.
Well, how do you find that you're received by conventional or allopathic?
You know what? It depends, because there are a number of medical doctors that are super into integrative medicine. They're CAM doctors, so complementary alternative medical profession, right? And that's really awesome. I have the other scope, which thinks that we're quacks, or we practice mainly homeopathy, or, you know, which some of us.
Do you do that?
I do have it part of my scope. It's something that I do. It's something that I learn. It's not something that I specialize in.
Okay.
I believe more in orthomolecular medicine, so that's finding the right amount of nutrients based on your genetics. So I'm part of the Canadian Society of Orthomolecular Medicine, and that's really a lot of nutraceutical, nutritional approaches, nutritional strategies, you know, looking at blood work, saying, you know, where are you deficient? Because I see a lot of anxiety, depressed patients, a lot of addiction patients, and I start looking at their iron levels, their B12 levels. I start looking at a whole bunch of other stuff, and I actually see, you know what, there's a few deficiencies, or there's food sensitivities, or there's other imbalances, and once we start really healing that, I see huge changes, right? And it's all based on the nutrients, just for that specific individual.
Now, wasn't there some doctor, you probably know, from Vancouver, BC or something, and he was into the orthomolecular, and he was dealing with, especially with addictions and stuff like that. Like, he could see, just looking at the blood work,
that's right,
you could see where there was nutritional deficiencies, right? And you start there. Start with those, addressing those issues.
And that's really, you know, unfortunately, one of the flaws that I find in the conventional medical realm. And I love, like I said, I love conventional doctors, so in no way am I bashing them. But one of the things that they do, and that they do really well, is they say, you know what, this is the concern. This medication over here is really going to target your concern. And that's true. And that's exactly what the medication will do. But at the same time, they don't always say, you know what, are you deficient in something else? Why is this going on? Is there something else? I have one patient with severe panic attacks, you know, such bad agoraphobia, which is, you know, the inability to leave his home because he has so much anxiety. You know, once we started doing food sensitivity testing, and I told him, I go, listen, I think there's something more. And once we started doing food sensitivity testing, we found he was severely sensitive to aspartame, to other additives, to a whole bunch of foods. A lot of the time I say, you know, you are what you eat, and food equals mood. So
food equals mood.
Absolutely.
That's good to, Hugh, that's really good to know.
Absolutely. And no, it's really true, because a lot of the times we eat things that we think are really good for us, and they are, but they're not necessarily good for you, the individual.
Well, actually, you know, Randy just had one of those moments before the show. He ate one of those hot dogs.
Okay.
They smell so good. They taste so good. You know, the street hot dogs.
They do not smell good.
And then the rest of your day is
oh my God.
Dealing with that.
That's right. That's right. And everyone deals with sensitivities differently. So there are people that get that abdominal bloating, indigestion, you know, maybe gas, maybe heartburn, to fatigue, to, like I said, anxiety or irritability. I have a lot of my weight loss patients that their biggest concern is they have food sensitivities, or they have yeast overgrowth or candida, and they're having trouble losing weight. So a big part of it is saying, okay, so I know that I'm telling you how many calories you should be putting in your diet, or how much exercise you should be doing as well, but there's something else going on here, so we need to figure that out. Otherwise, as soon as you start eating a different amount of food, you're still going to gain the weight, or you're not going to lose the weight even if you're doing that diet input-output, right? Like the caloric thing. You're still not losing weight. That's why people come to me and they say, what's going on? So I have to say, okay, is it hormonal? Like, what's going on? Because
we're told that diets are, you know, this is the new diet and it's going to work for everybody. But what you're saying is that based on people's, well, I don't know what it is, genetics or whatever. Okay. Because somebody told me that, you know, people that are from Northern Europe or whatever, they really should be eating meat.
It depends. It really depends.
Okay. But what I'm saying is that, you know, where your ethnicity comes from
does play a role.
The kind of foods that are available in those environments, those genetically become used to that, you know, over the time.
You know, I disagree with that, because I think, you know, that's if you are not conscious or aware. Okay.
Well, I know. You might be right.
So
you might be right.
So how much do you think attitude and philosophy plays a role? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Oh, everything.
I think that's even more significant.
I think the two of you are talking of nature versus nurture. That's what the argument is really about here, because from the genetic perspective, and I do genetic testing, it's a saliva test specifically for my weight loss patients, but you know, from a genetic perspective, if you think about the Japanese or the Mediterranean, they have specific diets, right? That's their nature. If they're born into the culture, that's what they're eating. But then there's the other awareness, the attitude, the philosophy. There's a lot of people that go from being, you know, that standard North American diet, you know, meat and potatoes, and they go into become raw vegans. It's because they learn some things, they become educated, they say, you know what, I want me, right? And there you go, and that's me, and it takes takes time. It takes time and it takes willpower to become educated, because there's a lot of information out there. A lot. You have to be aware, you have to be critical about what you're reading.
Now, and as a naturopath, okay, do you actually put the onus on the patient?
Absolutely.
Because I think in the medical field, it's more like, I'll take responsibility for you.
It's a good question. I tell all of my patients I'm your advocate. I will do everything I can. You know, I'll meet you wherever you're at, and I'll be your advocate. I give my patients on their second visit a comprehensive treatment plan. So that includes nutritional strategies, nutritional supplements, botanical supplements, traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture. There might be some homeopathy in there, definitely some lifestyle counseling, and then we sit together and we do what I call like a negotiation.
Okay.
So we sit together and we actually decide, you know, what are you going to be able to be compliant with? If you're not compliant, your goals aren't going to be achievable. Or if I'm giving you a plan that you can't follow, you're not going to reach your goals, right?
And so I see where this actually, where typical medicine, allopathic medicine, would actually be supportive of, because this feels like it's a bigger picture.
Absolutely.
So the medical, the traditional medicine, or conventional medicine we have in the Western world, would actually be complementary to this as opposed to the other way around.
Absolutely. And I really, like I said, I work with medical doctors all the time because that integrative approach is really awesome.
But do you support them, or are they supporting you? Like do people go to them first, Shelly, and then you're an add-on, or is it the other way around?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I have some people that come to me, they don't even have maybe a medical doctor, and they use me as their primary care physician. There might be times that I say, you know what, you need certain blood work. I can send you for the blood work, it costs money. My blood work isn't covered by OHIP, even though it's the exact same blood work prescribed by a medical doctor. So oftentimes that's one of the reasons that I really like to work with medical doctors, to say, you know, we're sharing this patient.
So they can get the blood work done.
And they can get the blood work done, and then they can also see what's going on, and then we can collaborate, and I can say, you know, this is what the patient's coming in with, this is their goals, this is what I'm seeing, this is what our plan is. Maybe they want to get off of medication. So it really depends. So I have some patients that go to, you know, cancer patients. They're obviously seeing a medical doctor and oncologist. They're coming to me for some complementary support at the same time. So between their chemo, surgery, radiation, they're seeing me as well.
Wow.
So how do you feel about the fact that you can't get the blood work done covered by OHIP, that only allopathic doctors that meet certain criteria have access to that public funding?
It's frustrating.
Right? And also, I hear stories that Health Canada is cracking down or cutting out on certain herbs and other traditional medicines.
That's right.
And is that impacting your practice? How do you feel about that?
It's always changing, you know, with regards to what herbs are okay, what herbs are not okay. Right now, we are a self-regulated profession. We are governed by the BDDTN, so the Board of Directors of Drugless Practitioners, of Naturopathic Doctors, and that's really our board. So they're the ones who really get, at the end of the day, say, you know what, this is a herb you can prescribe, this is a herb you can't. Yes, it's frustrating not being able to send someone for a blood work that it's covered, but people who don't have a medical doctor, or people who, you know, really want the blood work done, they have no problem paying for it. So I don't really find that it's such a concern for me. You know, we are undergoing legislation right now, so there's a lot of changes happening.
For the better?
You know what? The people that are running the changes think that it's for the better. They're the ones that have been really kind of using homeopathy for a really, really long time. The newer, I would say, generation of naturopaths, we're much more into scientific, evidence-based medicine. We want to show that we can work with medical doctors, that we're on the same playing field as medical doctors, and really keeping that stigma of homeopathy being our #1 modality sort of brings us to a backstanding. It's not where we really want to be. We want to show that we work together, right? And we can prescribe medication. That's a big one. That's something we're fighting for, but our own council is giving us a hard time.
Oh, that's
so
not a good place to start.
Frustrating. Yeah, we are going through a hard time.
So, and the exam is not covered by OHIP, right? If the blood work is not covered by OHIP.
Blood work is not covered by OHIP if requisitioned by a naturopathic doctor. If you're working with a medical doctor, there are ways to get around it. Again, the idea is that you're working with the medical doctor.
Now, how about an exam? If I come to see you, is that covered? By
No, any visit with me is it's not covered by
Okay,
OHIP, so it's
okay.
covered through extended health insurance.
Okay.
Most people have extended health, which is awesome. Some of the testing, it depends on people's insurance companies, what they have available to them. Some people have health spending accounts.
Okay.
Health spending accounts
Yes.
give people an opportunity to sort of
Yes.
bill their testing under that. Some people do it through their income taxes. They create a health spending account from their income taxes. So people do
Okay.
find different ways, that are obviously legal to claim, and get some money back. One thing that I have co-founded and created in my North York location, it's called NPAC, Naturopaths Providing Accessible Care. So the idea is that although my profession is incredible and awesome and people really find amazing results from it, not everyone who really wants to see a
Yes,
naturopath can
can.
afford
Yes.
to come and see me. And that's just the reality, and it's just, again, that gap. It's the gap between the medical profession and the naturopathic, profession. And unfortunately, people want to come and see us, but then they say, well, to come and see you is going to cost me X amount of dollars. Then I have to go pay for supplements. Maybe I need to go and do a test done. The test is going to cost X amount of dollars. Suddenly, you're paying a lot of money.
Yes.
So one of the things that I do is on the first and third Monday of every single month, I offer what I call NPAC. So you pay $25 to reserve your spot. You come in, the appointment is 1 hour. You pay what you think the visit is worth. Our suggested price is $65. If you don't want to pay anything, just that $25, that's absolutely okay. If you want to pay more, that's awesome. It's really up to the individual. We don't judge. We don't really care. The most important thing for us is that if you feel that you need naturopathic care, that you're actually reaching out and getting it.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's the way it used to work with
Yeah.
regular doctors before
Absolutely.
public
Really?
Medicare.
That's right. It's one of the reasons why when I created my domain name, I called myself Nature Doctor. So I'm www.naturedoctor.ca, and the idea was bringing old school back. So when I was first in school, I was thinking I want to do like the home delivery, home services, going around from home to home like the old nature doctors used to do. And then I understood, I do that a little bit here and there with some patients, but it's easier to actually be in a couple of different clinics in different areas of the city and have people come to
you got a couple different clinics, right? Where are they?
So I'm in North York at Bathurst and Finch, and the clinic there is called Toronto Weight Loss and Wellness Clinic. So we specialize in weight loss, but with a really big focus on wellness. So a lot of people come to us with
they're related. They're the same thing.
Absolutely, right? A lot of people come to me with high blood pressure, diabetes, hypothyroid, menopause, all these big reasons why people are having trouble losing weight, or that their medical doctor has said, you need to lose weight. This is a part of your prescription. So they come to me for that. So it's really awesome. A lot of my patients say, I came in for weight loss and I walked out with health.
Wow.
And I love that.
That's amazing.
And when my patient said that to me, one of them, I just, it was really flattering. My other clinic is on Queen East. So we are
Where?
Queen and Broadview. It's called Energy Exchange. It is a yoga Pilates studio, and we also work with Physio Med within. So we're in Riverside, Leslieville. It is just unbelievable there. So we have a focus on overall health and wellness. So there is a huge aspect on musculoskeletal complaints, from joint pain, neck pain, any sort of pain, to weight loss as well, to fertility. So I see a slew of everything, like every single day, which is really cool.
Wow.
Sounds, with that energy, Shelly, with your energy can't go wrong, and with your hair, you are made for this field.
Thank you. I'm a lion. I would say I'm a Leo. It's my mane.
Are you really a Leo?
I am.
That
Oh, you
fits.
see how perfect, how
That's right.
fitting.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
absolutely. All the Leos
Wow.
have manes.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Okay. Shelly, what's the web address where people can get in touch with you?
So my website is www.naturedoctor.ca.
And all your links to all your clinics and
All
all
my
your
links
stuff?
to all my clinics are there. You want to book an appointment online, you can book an appointment online.
Perfect.
I offer free 15-minute consultations. I have an online service center on my website, so if anyone wants to go online and just create a username, password, it's free. The idea is so many people go to Dr. Google, right? So everyone's going online. Like, they have a concern, they have symptoms, they go online, they start finding things, and people get really scared, and all of a sudden they're dying. Like, they're dying tomorrow, right? So what I wanted to create instead is an area where people are going, and they can actually find helpful handouts, resources, tips, journals, right? So the idea is have everything in one place.
Wow.
So I made Dr. Google Dr. Shelly Reitkop.
Wow.
Okay. All right, thanks, Dr. Shelly.
Thank you,
you.
Dr. Shelly.
Thank you.
Okay. Is anyone here a marine biologist? Okay. Naturopathic.ca. We're going to take a little break now. Come back with Gary Spring. We're going to talk about the Moringa tree. Have you heard about that?
I haven't.
Dr. Shelley?
No.
Well, actually, we're going to find out a little bit about it right now. We've got a video talking about the tree, and we're going to come back with Gary Spring right after this as Liquid Lunch continues here on that channel.
What does a marine biologist have?
There is a taste in here that you cannot find in other vegetables. And the more you eat, the more it's become tasty, and you keep on, asking for it.
What this farmer in Hawaii is talking about is not a vegetable, it's a tree. And while Vicky Domingo says it has an unusual flavor, there's more to this tree than meets the taste buds.
You keep on eating, and you can feel your body is more energetic, more healthy, and you can see the difference. You're not dropping, you keep on, just so active.
Domingo says she has grown this tree on her farm for more than 25 years. She harvests moringa twice a week all year round. Domingo says there are many nutritional and medicinal uses for moringa.
All parts of the tree are usable, from the roots to the stem, to the leaves, to the flowers, and to the pod. The roots, you can use that as a tea. And then the trunk, you can scrape it, squeeze it, get the juice, put in your cut skin, and your skin will heal.
Dr. Will McClatchy is an ethnobotanist at the University of Hawaii. He studies the ways that humans interact with plants.
Moringa is one of these trees that is a multi-purpose plant that fulfills such a high percentage of kind of basic needs that when people get used to using it, they really can't see what it's like to live without it.
And many cultures don't. Today, moringa is used as a remedy and, in essence, a multivitamin in many of the world's warmest regions.
Moringa is used widely in Africa and South Asia, and it's been introduced into South America and Central America, where it's also being used. So, this is not just a plant of a single community.
This is a plant that really does do extraordinarily well in some of the most difficult areas, in areas that are very hot, areas that are very dry, areas where other things are very difficult to cultivate. I don't think they're actually the most attractive tree. They're more a tree that you look at and you sort of love the way you love a scruffy friend or a scruffy dog. Because the branches sort of splay here and there, and they get burdened down with huge quantities of fruits on them. And that's actually what makes the tree so remarkable, is that it's such a generous tree.
And that's because people have found multiple uses for so much of the tree, including its seeds.
They're full of oil. You press the seeds, and then this wonderful aromatic oil comes oozing out, which you can use for cooking, you can use for cosmetics or lubrication or whatever. And the cake, the press cake, the stuff that's left over after pressing the seed, that is what's used for water purification.
Water purification, Olson says, is especially useful in developing countries where clean water is hard to come by. But the benefits don't stop there.
Some of the things I think are most exciting about moringa is, for example, the high vitamin content. There's a lot of vitamin A in the leaves, and worldwide that's a problem.
He does this on purpose.
So
He has it.
no,
sure he
it's
does.
not. It's another That Channel miracle. Welcome back to the show here, me, Hugh, and Sandra, and we've got Gary Spring here. And Gary, we just saw that video about the moringa tree, and it looks pretty interesting.
It's a very interesting tree. When you think of the trees over 4,000 years old, they've actually found pods, the seed pods, in the pyramids from the Egyptians. So it's something that has been used by many different cultures over history. To think that today we've just rediscovered it. It was the biological plant of 2008. It was awarded as the biological find for 2008. So it's pretty exciting.
Even if it's been around for thousands of years,
yes.
They just found it in 2008.
Yeah.
So, so what
It's so amazing.
What's the story of it that it's just being rediscovered now?
Well, the exciting part about the Moringa is that it has been so widely used by different cultures over the centuries and over the thousands of year periods. Like I say, by ancient cultures, many different natural remedies and cures and things like that have been using the Moringa for thousands of years. And today, in today's environment, it's so vital to have this reintroduced back into the food chain, because our food chain is so depleted, our soils are so depleted. There's just not enough nutrition in today's food chain to provide the people the nutrition that you need your body to prevent the aging process and things of that nature. And Moringa they've called it the miracle tree because it just has over 90 nutrients and vitamins in each parts of the tree, and they literally can use every part of the tree.
Where does it grow?
It grows in the most desolate places of the world, the deserts of Afghanistan, India, like the most desolate places, and yet it is so power-packed with nutrition. They even use the casings of the seeds in places of Africa now. They've found that the casing, once they take the seeds out and they crunch the casings up, they put it into stagnant, bad water, and it purifies the water. So yeah, so they're using every part of this tree in many, many different facets and aspects to provide nutritional feed for people.
So it sounds like it's a great, I mean, it's just amazing how, you think about a desert area where it's difficult to grow.
And yet it thrives.
And it thrives, and not only does it thrive, but it sounds like it has so many uses nutritionally, but also purifying
they use
water.
the leaves, like the leaves have just the amount of nutrition, for example, just as just one of the little excerpts here, but just to give you a couple of these, has 4 times the calcium of milk, 4 times the vitamin A of carrots, 2 times the protein of yogurt, 3 times the potassium of bananas, 7 times the vitamin C of oranges.
Does it have protein?
Yeah, absolutely. And the exciting thing is it's 100% natural, 100% organic, and
100% vegetarian.
Yeah, it's enzymes. Like it's a living plant-based product. So it's very exciting to be able to reintroduce this back into the food chain for people for nutritional deficiencies.
Did you bring us some samples today, Gary?
I do have some different products that this is through the Zija
This is what he really wants to get to.
I mean, it sounds so good. You've got me all hyped up.
It is very exciting. And myself and my family, we recently just found out about this great product and how to access it. The company Zija is just in pre-launch stage in Canada, and fortunately we're here to tell the people about it and let people know that this is an opportunity for people to get this great product and even start a home-based business if they're interested. So it's really exciting to be able to be on the leading edge for Canada for that product. So.
Okay, so I mean, before we get into the products, should we boil water? I mean,
no, you don't need to boil water. No,
we don't need to boil water.
No boiling. No. Okay. What are some of the health benefits that people are going to experience?
Well, the FDA in the United States, for example, has already proven that Moringa will reverse, cure, or stop in its tracks up to 300 different diseases. Things like cholesterol, high blood pressure, weight loss, just so many different things, and it's jam-packed with antioxidants, and the whole key to human survival is our cells have to continually be replenishing. And if the enzymes and the parts of our cells start dying off, you need oxygen in your cells. And 4 minutes without oxygen, your cells start dying. And a lot of that is brought on by just the toxins that are in our air, in our water, everything that we touch. And fortunately, Moringa helps go into your body and target the areas of your body that need it the most. It's an anti-inflammatory. It helps with just so many different areas. One of the persons that introduced me to the Moringa product was a friend of mine called Maria, and she'd suffered with Lyme's disease and with vertigo. And she said for 7 years she was almost couldn't contain, just normal functions were very hard to do, sleeping all the time. She got introduced to the Moringa product through Zija, and she said within 30 days she was back at her normal pace. She wasn't having naps every day. She started losing weight. She's lost, I think in the last count, in 3 or 4 months, she lost 23 pounds. So it's just exciting to see how a product can affect somebody's life so positively.
And you think it takes about 30 days to start to see noticeable effects?
Some people, I had one friend of mine who took it for 4 days, and he said he was experiencing a lot of pain in his eyes, and he said after 2 days, he said all of a sudden I noticed I wasn't having to wear my glasses as much when I was reading a computer. And he said I don't know whether it was the Moringa or not, but he said it was awful interesting that within 2 days of taking it, it went away. So, you know, was it chance or was it not? But the exciting thing is it's gone.
Now, for you personally, have you noticed?
I've been experiencing some weight loss myself. I have in the past been diagnosed with, you know, possibly high blood pressure, possibly higher cholesterol than normal. So I've been on it myself just 30 days, and I've already noticed my blood pressure the last time I had it checked has started to come down. I haven't gone for a blood test for cholesterol yet, but there are, you know, I'm looking forward to some changes there too. So.
Okay, so how do you take this stuff? Because I noticed you got tea here.
Yes.
And then
this is our complete weight loss system. What you're seeing here.
Okay. I hope Dr. Shelly sees this, because this would be perfect for Dr. Shelly.
Yeah, we have many naturopaths, just all sorts of them across the country. We even have veterinarians who are feeding it to prize racehorses because it is so power-packed with nutrition. Most people, the reason they don't lose weight is because they're feeding their body empty calories, and this here provides them with enough nutrition that now all of a sudden it's like feeding your car high octane gas. You don't need as much to get the same performance or to get better performance. So when you start feeding it pure nutrition, all of a sudden you start cutting back on your cravings, cutting back on things like that. It's not like you have to go on a diet, you just stop eating as much junk.
So you just don't desire it.
Exactly.
It's not as difficult.
Exactly. So that's the exciting thing. It's not like you're having to, you know, take some crazy thing that you're substituting your meal. You're not. You just find that you start eating less of whatever you're eating. Well, that's one of the things that I've noticed is at nighttime I don't crave as much after dinner where, you know, you sit down and have snacks. I don't find I'm doing that when I'm taking the Moringa. So this, for example, is what we call our smart drink. The smart drink is something you just add to water. It's a little package, you add it to water. You have one of those in the morning before your meal, and then that provides you with the nutrition.
Are we going to feel it?
We can.
If we take it, will we feel it? You know what I mean?
You know, the thing I found is that I used to always have my afternoon coffee.
Yeah.
And I don't anymore. So my afternoon coffee seems to have vanished. And I had one of the guys come up to me at work the other day and he goes, "You're not drinking as much coffee." So it just sounds like it balances. Yeah, exactly. Stuff. So we're excited about it. Just wanted an opportunity to come and tell people about it. It's a great product.
So it's a.
What I was just going to say, what does it taste like?
It tastes. It's very citrus.
Okay.
It's almost citrus taste to it.
What if we could grow it here? I'd like to grow it here in Canada. Have you tried that?
I haven't tried it. No.
Okay. So now,
but like I say, it's organic. It's natural.
If you can live in the desert and you don't have to water it, there's no chance of killing it, right?
In the desert.
Yeah.
But what about the winter?
Maybe we can grow it indoors.
Well, we can certainly try.
So we have several different. We have the complete weight loss program, which is. You know, everything you see here, including the tea. The tea is a detoxing tea. So you take it at bedtime before night, helps cleanse the colon and help detox the body. So it's a whole process. And like I say, you fit it into your normal way of life. It's not like you're having to change everything. And we have many different naturopaths and things like that who are jumping on board and saying, "Hey, this is great." Okay, so it sounds like, you know, for people that want to lose weight, there's like you say, the weight loss program. Also, it's just a general health tonic. Absolutely. Right? So let's say you don't need to lose weight, then you know you just want to maybe take the drinks, and you don't need to take any of the supplements, which is like an extreme shot of Moringa. This is called extreme Moringa, and you take one of these before your evening dinner. This one here is your AM, XM it's called, and this one here you take just prior to your lunch. So you. What if we took those right now? What would happen? Probably nothing. You wouldn't feel any different, other than you may not want your afternoon coffee or tea. You may feel more energy, you know, as the afternoon grows on.
I usually have a coffee after the show.
This one here is an energy version. This one is the XM. That's for energy more like an energy boost as well. So like I say, it's a full package. It's great. It gives you lots of nutrition, and like we're taking it ourselves. We looked at it because just for the nutritional value. Yeah. You know, you don't have to start taking all those vitamins and things like that. This has the vitamins and nutrients you need.
Does it replace a one a day?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wait. Okay, I want to ask this.
And it's organic and it's natural.
Wow. What?
For somebody that's taking this, what, you know, how much they're going to cost them a month? Say.
I would say on a fair basis about $150 a month
for one person.
For one person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in most cases, if you go into your multiple vitamins and all the things that you've been taking in the past, you're probably spending more than that.
Okay.
You know?
So now that's.
And the snacks that now you're not going to have to buy.
You've cut down your food bill.
Yeah. It's all going to even out.
Exactly.
You cut down your food bill by at least $100.
Exactly.
Now. Okay, but it's also a business opportunity, is it not?
It is,
Gary.
absolutely.
Can you tell us about that?
It's a home-based business opportunity, so it gives you the opportunity to run a business from your home, which obviously there's certain tax advantages within our country, number one. Number two is it gives you the opportunity that as you sponsor people or let people know about the business, then those people obviously get better health as well. Number one. Number two is if you sponsor enough people in a given month, then actually your whole month's supply is free. So it effectively could cost you nothing just by sharing it.
Wow.
And who should take this?
Anybody. It's natural. It's organic.
So anybody, if you don't have a health issue, it's good for maintenance.
Anybody.
Again, if
the
it's
only
to
thing
replace
that the only thing that they recommend is if you have high blood pressure, not to take the orange one, and they say that take the green one, and then once your blood pressure starts dropping, then you want to take the orange one. Great. And that's strictly because it's a much more extreme version, and that's the only recommendation.
Sounds like the right one for me.
Well, you also have this tea box.
Yes.
So is this best drunk after
just
dinner?
Before bed, after dinner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can have this at bedtime. It's not one of those things that makes your heart race or anything like that.
Make sure if you're driving
it actually
down the
helps
highway,
you sleep. It actually helps you sleep.
Okay, so you don't want to be drinking it when you're driving down the highway.
Not unless you're very close to a service center. You don't want to make that mistake.
But it's a great product. It really see, the biggest thing too is in your digestive system. You need to make sure that your digestive system keeps moving, and that it needs enzymes for that. This is power packed full of enzymes. Power packed.
Wow.
So how do they actually extract this from the tree?
This here product is made up of the 4 key elements of the tree: the leaves, the seeds, which are some of the most nutritious parts of the tree. All right. Actually, one interesting thing in parts of Africa they've been using for years is they've been taking the seeds and crushing them to get the oil out of them. But they never used the nutritional part of the tree. But they were using the oil for lamps and things like that to burn. And here they had this amazing tree right in their backyard, literally, and yet they were suffering from malnutrition.
Wow, isn't that interesting?
Wow, that's crazy. See, look what you know, the miracles that are there.
It has been deemed a miracle tree. It literally has.
Yeah. Under the and to grow in arid climates and solve nutritional problems, and it sounds like everything that you can use from the tree, like a new miracle cast crop.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is this in any? Can you eat this as a food in anything? Is it like could it be like a power?
Well, this here,
put it on cereal or something.
The actual drinks themselves, these powder drinks come in a little package like this, so it's just powder. You could sprinkle it in, put it in a drink, I guess, if you into something, but I just put it in water. Drink it in water, and like I say, it's got a citrus-based taste.
So is it kind of like, you know, the maca? Have you heard of maca? Some of those power
I've had
foods?
some of that maca. That stuff tastes terrible.
I think it depends on the one you have, because the one that I have tastes okay. It tastes really nutty.
Okay.
So is it like
this one
that?
doesn't really have any taste to it, you know. So, and the Moringa, these are capsules, so you just take a capsule just before you eat your meal.
Okay, you need to go back to these guys and tell them to make gum. Moringa gum.
There you go.
Well, they actually have a complete skincare line as well.
Wow.
So they've taken oils, some of the Moringa oil for your skin and things like that. Actually, on YouTube there is there was a whole thing done on the Discovery Channel about it as well, which may have been part of the clip we ran earlier. But there was actually a gentleman that they showed, and he was quite aged, and yet his complexion, when they looked at him closely, they said, you know, what is it? And here he was using Moringa oil, and he didn't even know it, but that was what he'd been using on his skin for years.
Wow.
So,
okay, now, Gary, we've got a little video.
Yes.
It's going to, I think, describe the business a little bit better. I'm not totally sure more about the plant and stuff like that, but for somebody who's interested in getting their hands on these products or maybe getting involved in the business, what's the best way for them to do that?
Best way is to contact us at Life Drinkin'. That is LIFEDRINKIN.myzija.com. That's our website, or zijadrinkin@gmail.com. So ZIJADRINKIN@gmail.com. And we could certainly, if someone is interested, we could be more than happy to arrange to get some samples sent out to them too.
Awesome.
Thank you. Wow.
Thanks for coming in, and
great being here.
Learn something new every day here on Live Your Lunch.
Amazing. It sounds like an amazing product. I think it's going to be like the new power thing.
Well, we're going to watch this video now. Does Zija? And we're going to come back with Chris Porter, leader of the Canadian Action Party, right after this as Live Your Lunch continues.
We'll be right back. I'm from Campbellsville, Kentucky. I've been on Zija for 2 months now. I've lost almost 20 pounds. And I was a little skeptical, tried the 4-day package, said I had to have it, and that's it.
Hi, I'm Deland Klein from Harrogate, Tennessee, and I have been using Zija products for around 7 weeks and already have seen great gains. I've lost 22 pounds, got off some medication for allergies and also some joint medication, so the product has been great for me in just a short period of time.
Hello, my name is Tiffany Spratt. I'm from Hodgenville, Kentucky, and Zija has truly blessed my life. I've been able to lose 25.5 pounds in a short 5.5 weeks, and the most amazing part is I've been able to now keep it off, going on 15.5 weeks, which is phenomenal. I feel great. My husband has had great results. My kids have had great results, and there will not be a day that I will not go without my little green can of Zija.
My name is Ken. I'm from Stanford, Kentucky. Started taking the Zija products in July of 2009. Lost 50 pounds in about 5 months, and I've been able to keep that weight off all year.
First thing I think is this stuff for real? And the next thing I do is I thank God for Zija. I thank God that somebody shared their story with someone at a health food store, and that mother just happened to be there that day.
Millions of years ago, a plant began to grow on the southern side of the Himalayas. Just centuries ago, in a time when almost all health remedies and protection came from plants, local peoples began to test and use this plant for various ailments. Trading in medicinal knowledge probably spurred the spreading of this plant to many warm, equatorial zones in the eastern hemisphere. The plant's properties became more and more renowned. Ayurvedic secrets intended to heal, nourish, and beautify had been discovered. Fast forward hundreds of years. In their search for a plant with incredible nutritional value for indigenous peoples, worldwide health and charity organizations heard about the Moringa oleifera plant. Scientists around the world began to examine this unique plant.
I don't think they're actually the most attractive tree. They're more a tree that you look at and you sort of love the way you love a scruffy friend or a scruffy dog. Because the branches sort of splay here and there, and they get burdened down with huge quantities of fruits on them. And that's actually what makes the tree so remarkable, is that it's such a generous tree.
I'm having some of this Zija stuff right now.
I hope,
Sandra.
you know what? I hope it tastes better than it looks.
It doesn't taste that bad. I know it's brown colored, but
yeah, it kind of looks like mud.
It tastes okay.
But you know, it looks earthy, so you feel earthy.
It tastes earthy.
It's like Buckley's. Anything bad works.
Chris, you brought up a really good point that we did not ask. If you could smoke this stuff.
Don't worry, we'll cut that out in editing, Chris.
Sorry, I'm from BC.
Right, you brought that
I'm
up.
from British Columbia.
Yeah, he's from British Columbia. He's allowed. So, yeah, Chris Porter, of course, leader of the Canadian Action Party.
So, yeah, unpolitically correct, wasn't that?
Well,
oops.
Wow. I'm a different, I'm a political activist. I'm a PD. You know, earlier you had an ND, or I'm a PD, a political doctor, so it's all right.
There you go. So it was okay to say that.
There you go. See, it's all working out.
Yeah.
So, Chris, anyway, I know you're from BC, and you're leader of the Canadian Action Party, and you're here running in Jack Layton's old riding.
Right.
Right? And I attended one of your events earlier in the week, and I just, before, I want to ask you, because you sort of mentioned it, but how you got into politics is an interesting story, and if you can just start by telling us that story?
Well, I was never political. My whole life I trained whales and dolphins all around the world. Had a good life, was seeing the entire world, meeting new people, eating new foods and enjoying it in my life, and never got worried about being political. And then while I was in the Solomon Islands, I watched that country get taken over by the military of Australia for basically their resources. They came in under the suspicion of helping the population and quickly surrounded the gold mines and the tuna stocks, and Solomon Islands is one of the richest countries I've ever been, and watched the World Bank move in, watched the International Monetary Fund move in. I was very politically involved down there because of my business and knew a lot of people in government, and it just didn't make sense. This rich nation with full of resources was being dependent upon a foreign source to come in and try to help them and increase the advisors, etc. So when I got back to Canada, I was shocked to see the same thing happen here. We're sending all our resources out of this country without manufacturing them, with very minimum gain for here. There's no long-term vision for Canada anymore. We're now integrated with the United States at our borders, and we have such a globalist view that our local solutions are being suppressed, and that's not the Canada that I thought we have, and it's not the Canada I want for my children.
Well, it's not the Canada that was, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Well, and the same thing seems to be happening all around the world.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Like everywhere. And you saw it, it's one thing to see it, I mean, you were, I don't know, fortunate enough to see it in a small country where you could see it happening before your eyes. It's been happening in Canada now for at least 20 or 30 years.
Exactly.
I think it was. It's more covert in Canada, though, right? It was more.
Yeah, it was so
overt.
evident in the South Pacific. It's only the capital is only a town of 20,000 people. Everyone knows everyone if you're well connected with the government, etc. So it was so evident that it was a takeover, and that's what's happening to our country. And the decisions being made up on Parliament aren't involving enough Canadians, and we're not having a decision. Do we want to have an integrated border with the States? I bet you half the population doesn't even know we have an integrated border with the States, and that's shameful. That's a dilution of our sovereignty, and we have to regain it. We have to.
Well, look what's happening in the U.S. too, with the trampling of the Constitution and individual rights being basically eroding, and yet we got this friendly, smiling face named Obama.
But again, they're doing it so insidiously that it's almost like when you gain weight, you gain a little bit of time, you don't really notice it till it's too late, and you've gained 50 pounds. Now it's we're getting to the point where now it's not too late, but we've noticed so much. There's so much damage that's been done because they've done it very craftily.
Yeah, it's we trace it back to the early 70s. We moved away from our Bank of Canada, which is our national bank. We started getting more involved in global banking, financial institutions for our debt, and now Canadians pay $170 million of interest each and every day. So when you hear all this talk of what are we going to do for employment, what are we going to do for our seniors, what are we going to do for our homeless, well, there's $170 million of interest a day. That's a good start. So, and free trade agreements have proven themselves not to work for us, and it doesn't make any sense that we keep talking to them in marketing and saying we're a sustainable economy, et cetera, et cetera. Then let's be sustainable. Let's be self-sufficient. Let's look after ourselves first. And once we prove to the world that we can look after ourselves, we can be a model that the rest can follow.
That makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Actually.
I mean, totally.
But are you getting a lot of resistance for this?
We're getting a lot of resistance from mainstream medias and from the political models. But, I always say we're advocating to the 40% of the population that has given up and stopped voting. And all these robocall scandals and other scandals continues to deteriorate the participation of people in our democracy. And that's the greatest fault of our system right now, is we don't have enough people participating in it. So we have 60% of the population voting, and a percentage of that makes up a majority government. We don't really have the majority government voice, and that's why we advocate for electoral reform. We have to get more direct democracy. We have to have more town halls. We have to have more referendums. We have to have proportional representation so that the true voice of the Canadians is heard.
I think a lot of people are really discouraged. I think a lot of people don't go because they think there's nothing I can do to make a difference.
And then they hear about the robocall scandal and they go, why
What's the point?
bother?
Right? Well, it's exciting because when people hear about the party and hear me talk and what we're talking about, they get excited again. They said, okay, that's what we need. You know, it's a matter of political will. The political will right now is to battle who's in charge of the piggy bank and who's in charge of our resources and who's in charge of making the big decisions. It's not a matter of the political will of what's best for Canadians. And that's what Canadian Action Party is about.
So who is in charge? Who is in charge of the piggy bank?
Who is in charge of the piggy bank is the World Bank organizations. The World Bank, the IMF, International Monetary Funds, all our central banks are being put on these organizations offshore. It's G8s, G20s, you know, it's Canada's bottom of the list. Canadian citizens and what's better for us is in the bottom of the list. Everybody sees it. Everybody understands it.
Everybody knows it.
Yeah, they all know it and they feel it, and they you know, the ones that are part of the benefits, of course, resist it, but the general population knows it. And it's about empowering people, get us back into our democracy, get us participating, get us sharing ideas, and opening up the floor to everybody's concerns. When an MP is put up in Parliament right now, they're acting on behalf of that small population that voted for them. They're not acting on behalf of the entire riding. And that's what has to change.
Well, the other thing that gets me about our current electoral system, in theory, the member is supposed to represent all the people of that riding or that community, right? But in practice, they really represent the party and what the party's policy on, which is often bought by lobbyists and big business. Right? And so there is a big conflict of interest.
We get the same thing saying, well, you're a party, so you're voting. And I say, well, we're a party to represent how many people feel like I feel. And that's what's happening.
A party for the Occupy?
Well, Occupy had a great message. It's corporate greed and banking irresponsibility. And I talked at Occupy, and my son actually talked to Occupy in front of 1,000 people. And the message of the party is there for everyone. We need Occupy, we need Wall Street, we need Bay Street, we need everyone putting their ideas into the equation. But at the end of the day, the answer has to be what's best for Canada.
So that's what I was going to say. Only you need all those parties in there to come up with the solution. Only if everybody has the right agenda, the same agenda in mind.
Exactly.
Right? That's the thing. If everybody wants that one goal, which is what's best for Canada, that's where you're facing your difficulties.
And that was the advantage of being in the South Pacific. I worked with real headhunters, real cannibals, and learned their system of village communication and political will was consensus. That means
so headhunter here is not like a recruiter, right?
No,
right.
Headhunter is literally.
And the cannibals, Chris, are they really that bad?
No, they're not. You know, it's a cultural way, and it's traditional, and it's based on a lot of things. But at the end of the day, the village.
They actually eat other people.
Yeah, that's what cannibals are.
Oh, I know.
But it's done in a good spirit, Sandra.
Well, it's done based on a lot of reasons, but it's part of what I'm talking about here is when these types of villages can sit down together and be genuinely sorry for any tribal disputes, and actually if they kill someone in their culture, the family that killed the individual actually come and compensate the individual, and they'll actually respect that a mistake was done. When was the last time Canada went to Libya and said sorry? When was the last time Canada went to Iraq and said sorry, we understand it was wrong, it was part of the equation? So they work through consensus, which means you must listen to the dissenters, because the dissenters might be the headhunter.
Okay.
But it does make sense. So if you tone it down to Canada, because we're a lot more polite and a lot more reserved, then why can't we listen to the dissenters at a town hall meeting? Why do we have to, hey, you're being rude? That person must have some good ideas. And if we accommodate them into the discussion and listen to their ideas and have them saying, yes, I agree if we all do that, then what happens is the entire decision is all supported. So you don't have I said, you said, he said.
It's interesting you mention that, because I know somebody who works in mediation and arbitration, and so basically they are kind of like, they have to listen to both sides, but they said one of the strategies that they use is they actually don't shut down the dissenters. They actually give them the floor, because they say dissenters usually say things that most people want to say but don't speak up, or are too afraid. So they actually have turned that around to your point, and actually listen to them now.
And you're seeing that more and more, whether it's 2012 or whether it's just common sense. And this is a structure of political organization that the Indigenous have been doing for generations. And they also have a bigger vision than us because they think ahead for 7 generations. And I don't believe anyone in government's looking ahead 7 generations.
Well, that's another reason why it's really good for that person who killed the other village to go there and compensate, because then it's done there, so it doesn't carry over to the next generation.
Exactly. That's it's a great system. I learned a lot there, and I saw a lot, and it's helped me here in Canada. And people are open to it. They're not used to a political party to say, hey, I want to hear why you object to what we're saying. They're not used to that. They're saying, no, it's a debate world we live in, and whoever scores the debate. But now even in schools, we're taking away the process of debating. We're taking away any type of confrontation in school because we believe that suppression will make a better society. We're always going to have different opinions. We're always going to have different ideas. We need to share them and accommodate everybody involved in it.
Well, that's what we need to do. It seems we're getting away from that. I mean, even
well, that's why the Canadian Action Party exists. We're going to go back to it. I was asked by Steve Bacon, and he said, well, our system works first past the post. And I said, well, that's what we're about. We can change the system.
Sure,
you know, we've changed lots of systems.
You know, I want to ask you about we're talking about how this kind of trend is happening all over the world, in countries all over the world, and people are now making the point that what is it, CETA, the new trade agreement,
Canadian-European trade agreement?
Yeah, that's being negotiated. There are clauses in these international agreements that essentially take sovereignty away from everybody involved in those agreements.
Exactly.
So that we lose our democratic ability to make our own decisions that pertain to our own communities, because we are now have an agreement, contract with another political body, like Europe in this case.
Yeah.
For more to the globalization.
Well, and it works on a federal level. So the federal government arranges these free trade agreements, and then maybe a municipality. CETA is very threatening to BC Water. Yeah, they're targeting BC Water, and they want to privatize the water, and they want to privatize the electricity generation from the hydro dams. So if any community in a municipality says, no, we don't agree that we should dam up this river, then the free trade agreement clauses that you're mentioning come into play, and then the corporation has an opportunity to say, if you don't allow us to do that, we will sue you based on the future profits that we have estimated that this river will generate for us. That's not in the best interest of Canada. And everybody understands
and certainly not those communities.
Exactly. So and why doesn't the community have a chance to tell Ottawa, hey, we don't want. Look at the Enbridge pipeline coming from Alberta to the west coast of British Columbia. It's the same thing. Many communities are upset at it. Many communities don't want to see the pipeline going through, and yet it's being pushed down from Ottawa. This isn't governance of the people. This is governance of our resources.
There's no town halls on this. They're not getting any opportunity to voice their
Well, the communities are, but the message isn't being carried over in the threat of financial.
So the government's not giving them the opportunity to have a say. They're not giving them the floor.
And what these trade agreements threaten is that even to make all that local democracy irrelevant.
Right.
Right?
And that's scary.
It is scary.
What do you do? How do you do that then? What do you do about it?
Because good question. And if I may add to it,
okay, he's going to
there we go. Great. Good.
Is that you know, it's like we can say we elected the Canadian Action Party to the government in Ottawa. We still have these international trade agreements, and if we back out of one, then we open ourselves up as a country to sanctions from other trade sanctions, other sanctions. Look what happened to Libya.
Right. I mean,
that's a worst case scenario. It's almost like we need a people's democratic political movement in every country, in every community around the globe.
Well, and that's what I'm getting excited at. Other countries people are coming to me and saying, I heard about the Action Party, we want to do an Action Party here. Because I believe that that's the best way to stop globalization, is to have localized solutions in all the countries and say, look, you become self-sufficient, we'll become self-sufficient, what you're lacking, we'll assist with you. And but first we got to look after our own backyard.
This is looking to me like the next step, the sequel to the Occupy movement, because a lot of people were saying the Occupy movement was about the dissension, but the structure wasn't there.
And that's what it's exciting. More and more political activists are coming to the Canadian Action Party and saying, yes, let's do a political solution. A long time activists said, I just give up on the system, so I'm not going to participate in the hope that it will fail. Well, guess what? Our system's not designed to fail. Our system's designed to carry on with a small minority representing the majority. So what we need to do is to get politically active, and we need to get involved in our system, and we can change it within our system. I'm very active in talking with the other parties, the smaller parties, to start working on proportional representation so that we represent a mass of people that has different ideas, but under the same umbrella, so that the people can say, yes, this is how the system should be.
Have you spoken to Elizabeth May of the Green Party?
Yes, Elizabeth May has talked to me about joining the Green Party, and there's some aspects of the Green Party that I agree with, and there's some aspects I disagree with. So I am approaching her in the way, okay, how can we keep the points that are important? Exactly. Let's do because she's a strong advocate of proportional representation too. So why can't we do that within your party structure? CAP has a proportional representative, or however it works. You know, there has to be an umbrella approach. We need to take everybody's ideas and put them on the table. Even the Conservatives, you know, the Conservatives do have some ideas to develop the economy. They have some ideas on the globalist agenda. We just have to change. We have to change that. It hasn't done any benefit to Canada except dilute our sovereignty and dilute our economy.
It almost seems, though, no matter what government gets in, whether it's liberal or conservative or
even NDP?
Even NDP in Ontario when they got in, it's like that globalist agenda is the agenda that goes forward.
Exactly. Well, because that's the agenda that has the money. You know, it all comes back to the money, and that's why we remind people that as Canadians, we own the Bank of Canada. We used it to build our healthcare system. We used it to build the Trans-Canada Highway. We used it to get through the Depression and the Second World War. So, and our debt was only $18 billion in 1974. Once we switched systems, we're now in debt over $600 billion. So it's a matter of how money is put into the system.
So the thing is, okay, so if I'm not mistaken, at one time the NDP was not part of that, you know, the big three. It was like the big two, which were the Liberals and the Conservatives that were more globalistic in their approach. And the NDPs were the renegades. Now they've become bigger. Have they kind of been sucked into that globalistic, and now you guys are kind of like the renegades? And if that's the case, will you guys ever become sucked in?
Well, we'll never become sucked in just based on our Constitution. It's very clear of what we stand for and what we're against. It's not mamby-pamby. It's pretty black and white where we stand and what we believe in. The NDP's caught up in shift of power. You know, that's what's wrong with our system. It's how to do it. And so they don't want to get into it. The NDP actually has a Bank of Canada policy that they don't bring up into the public. And is it strategy? Is it to say, oh, the public's not ready for it, or if we mention it, then we'll get pressure from other ways, or you know, they have a strong union lobbyist there, and it's a tough power game, and we have to eliminate the power game, or because all we have is basically regimes, and if the voice of the people is not heard, how can you say you're representing the people? It's turned into a big marketing game, and who has the most seats gets to decide the direction of the country. So we have a car that's just running around everywhere, and sometimes someone takes it to the left, someone takes it to the right, and it never goes down to a final destination. So let's stop the car, decide where we want it to go, and say, yes, in 10 years we want it to be here, in 5 years we want it to be here. If we don't do this, in 5 years we may well be in a North American Union. And myself, I was born as a Canadian, and I don't agree with that. I don't agree that's in the best interest of this country. We have so many resources, we could look after ourselves.
So you're obviously sensing there's a sense of urgency in what you're doing.
Well, there is. This year we passed a integrated border law with the American President Barack Obama that allows American troops to come into Canada to quash any social unrest. Now, how is that on the table?
How many people know this out there? I mean, I know, you know.
I'm shocked at how little. I took my daughter, who's 13 years old, took her to when she was 13, I took her to the university, and I think I got 1 out of 20 people that actually even knew that this was on the table. And this was last year when it was being proposed, and it was up for public debate, but yet it was open for public debate, but then they called the election. So everybody was no, because the election was called. And I even phoned some MPs that were sitting on Parliament and said, hey, are you guys going to bring this up? And they said, well, we're going to bring it up after the election.
It's almost like, you know, people are that used to it used to be our institutions worked on behalf of the people, and now it's like the people are the problem, and the institutions are being run in such a way to, like, you know, eliminate the people, eliminate people as a problem, eliminate dissenting opinion.
Yeah, use the people for their vote.
Yeah.
Use their people for the vote to get the power, and then run on any agenda that's...
So you get the government working for the people instead of the people working for the government.
Which is what we all thought we had.
Well, Chris, people in Toronto, or at least certain parts of Toronto, I know I'm in that part, but what's it called? What's that riding called?
Toronto Danforth.
Toronto Danforth. And when's the election? I know I should.
It's on Monday, March 19th.
Monday, March 19th.
Yeah, remember to vote.
It's not a general election. It's just a by-election. But people in Toronto.
And you've been out there knocking on doors?
Yeah, knocking on doors.
And like?
People are so fed up with the system. You know, that's our hardest battle, is they just say, oh, you're just a politician. I say, man, I'm as far away as one of those politicians as it comes. This isn't, I was never political, but can see by not being involved, this is what
Somebody's
we get.
Gotta do
so
something.
We have to get involved.
I can tell you that this guy's not a typical politician. You seem human.
Well, that's good. I am. I am a Canadian. You know, it's a Canadian, and that's it. And we all have to participate.
Well, Monday, people in Toronto Danforth can participate and make a change.
Chris Porter.
And Chris, I mean, where can people get in touch with you? Maybe they want to help before Election Day?
actionparty.ca, or if you want to drop by at our office, we're at 1432 Danforth until the election's over.
1432. And I hear you got free donuts there sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes free donuts and coffee.
Okay.
Always coffee.
Always.
All right.
Always coffee and a big seat to share your ideas.
Thank you for taking the initiative to do
thank
this.
You very much.
It's wonderful to see.
Absolutely. Actionparty.ca.
Chris Porter.
Okay.
That's the one you should be voting for.
Yes. Okay, we're going to take... Oh, actually, you know what? We got a video. This is somebody giving an endorsement for the Canadian Action Party.
Yay.
Oh, wow.
It's,
you don't even know that?
It's 3 minutes and 55
Chris
seconds
doesn't even
long.
know. This is how genuine he is.
And yeah, just so we'll do this, and we're going to come back with Charles Beresford right after this and talk about avocados and other stuff.
Awesome.
We'll be right back.
Avocados.
Yeah.
Hello, world of YouTube, and especially Canadians on YouTube. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes today and let you know about something I found that was quite interesting on the internet. It's called the Canada Action Party. It was started pretty recently by a guy named Paul Hellyer, who used to be the Minister of National Defense. His resume is just astounding. And he's getting kind of older. He's up into his late 70s, early 80s now. But he put together this party because he thought Canadians should have a serious alternative to, when I used to work back in ecology and stuff, we used to call them the grey parties. That's back when I used to work for the Green Party. But basically, the Liberals and Conservatives and NDP all really represent the same ideas. It doesn't really matter who you vote in. None of them are going to stand up and advocate bank reform. None of them are going to stand up and advocate disclosure of you know, secret government information that might be of use to the population, like high-end technologies, you know, war records, things like this. This guy who started it, he strongly advocates for transparency in government, and I mean real transparency. See, back when the Cold War was on, there used to be a real reason to want to keep some things a secret. But, you know, spies and the internet and all this sort of stuff now, there really are no secrets for people who want to know them. The only secrets are being kept from you and me. So anyway, I just wanted to encourage you to take a look at the Canada Action Party website. If I can, I'll put a link up on this. But some of their platform includes things like bank reform, using the Bank of Canada instead of CIBC to process the government's funds. It doesn't seem like a really big difference on the top, but you gotta understand, the Bank of Canada was chartered to loan the country money at really low interest, so we weren't held hostage by commercial bankers. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's a pretty serious recession on right now. As long as our country keeps getting its money from people who want whatever interest they decide they want, it's not really a lot we can do. Now, anyway, there's a lot more too, you know, for people who are interested in any kind of far leftist alternative. social credit sort of politics, this is definitely something that you should take a look at. So I just wanted to make a little video to endorse it. I'm not a member of the party or anything. Me and politics have, since parted ways in a formal capacity. But I do want to encourage you to take a look at this website. So I will put up a little link, and I just want to say, just read it over. It makes so much sense. There's a big thing about Bill C6 or C8 that's going through right now, where the government wants the power to, take products off the shelves, things that they think are dangerous for people to have, like vinegar and magnets, Ooh. But we don't really realize the implications of these things till further on, if they get passed in law. That's the big concern. It's like with letting the government read all your emails or tap all your phones, which is already happening. We don't really feel it too much now, but when we're in our 40s and they start calling us up being like, oh, you said F and MF and F'er on the phone, and so we're going to backcharge you for that. There's really no limit to what can come out of bad laws. So I just wanted to encourage you guys to take a quick look at Canada Action Party and give it a thought. I mean, they're a real federal party, and they could really use your support. Okay, that's it. Thanks.
And we're back here on the show. Again, there's another endorsement for the Canadian Action Party.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I wish them all the luck.
Well, we got Charles Beresford here. Charles, great to have you here on the show.
Hi, nice. Thank you for having me here.
Best hair in the business. My God, your hair is amazing.
You're having a good hair life, Charles.
A good hair life.
Good hair day, you think?
No, good hair
my dad
life.
was bald when he was my age.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? So you took after your mom?
I hope so, yeah. I did, yeah.
Wow.
Okay, great. Yeah. So we got to know you a little bit because we were hanging out a week or two ago. But is it the founder and CEO of Foods of the Earth?
Yes, that's my company.
Okay.
Foods of the Earth.
And you're living in Canada now, but
I've been here almost 27 years. But I go back a lot to South America because of business, yeah.
So you're from?
Lima, Peru.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And you grew up in the agricultural university?
See, my dad was one of the founders of the Agrarian University in Peru, so we had a house right at the grounds of the university. So I grew up with the agribusiness, yeah.
Yeah.
And music, yeah.
And you're still in the agribusiness?
I'm still in the agribusiness, right? Yeah.
So, no, we got... there's so much to talk about when it comes to food. I mean, somebody mentioned to me that, remember that movie, The Graduate? Right?
Absolutely.
Plastics, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was in the 60s. Now people are saying, I'm hearing it from a lot of people, that if you want to get into a business today that's got a lot of potential, it's the local food, to be in local food business.
Absolutely, yeah.
And do you want to talk about that a little
Sure, well, absolutely. The best food for people is the one that's grown locally, because that's what nature's made for that particular place.
Yes.
Like the whole microbiotic theory, if you know about microbiotic diets, is eaten locally. Mm-hmm. And of course that's being encouraged because that way you don't pollute the environment with all the transportation.
Yes, that makes sense.
And it's a way of people getting more in touch with nature too, right? Like I was in Cuba for working about a year and a half on an agricultural project for a Canadian company. One thing that fascinated me about the Cubans is that every city has a self-sufficient agriculture system where they grow organic produce, right? And everybody's involved in agriculture. Mm-hmm. And like most of the schools in Cuba are in the middle of an agricultural ground.
So the kids are out growing the food.
I was blown away by that because I was driving, because through my project I went to many farms, and I used to see these buildings in the middle of the farms and say, what's that? That's a school. Like every child in Cuba knows how to farm. That's the way they're raised. So the whole consciousness is to be self-sufficient. They had no choice. They had to become self-sufficient there, right? And organic. But that's something that we have to learn a lot, because we're growing a lot, right? As a city. The main cities of the world, but if you look at the way the city started, it all started with somebody getting to a place next to a river, next to a place where they can have agriculture, right? Mm-hmm. And what saddens me sometimes about Toronto is, I love the city, but as the city grows, all these farms are disappearing. And they're being replaced by beautiful neighborhoods, of course, and supermarkets.
Yes.
But we have forgotten how to be in touch with what's essential, which is the earth, right?
Yeah.
We're still essentially an agricultural society, whether we like it or not. We cannot eat our money, we cannot eat our computers, we cannot eat any of the services. We still need the food to eat, right?
But I have to tell you, I would not know how to grow something to save my life. Yeah, and I don't think I'm typical. It's true.
Yeah, but yeah.
Just plant a seed and watch it grow.
I have killed cactus plants.
Oh.
So.
Probably watered it too much.
See, and too bad I'm a vegetarian, right?
Which probably helps a lot.
I've been a vegetarian 40 years, right? So I promote what I believe in, right? Like, I don't believe in eating bodies, I believe in eating the fruits.
So cannibalism is not for you.
Yeah. No, definitely not. It's bad karma to eat somebody, right? So an arm and leg were not meant to be eaten. They're just mechanical instruments, right? So, I mean, for me, it's important that people can be aware of these essentials of life, like you're saying. What is the earth's role in our lives? It's what gave us life, right?
Yes. Yes.
It is the earth that's feeding us. It's the earth that's really giving the life to all of us. So,
well, you know, I have to, even though I don't know how to do any of that, it's not that it's by my culture, in my background. I would love to have learned that. I would love to have learned how to be self-sufficient. I think a lot of people are in that, you know, are like that. I have an appreciation for that stuff, but I have actually, in some ways, a great appreciation because I have no clue how to do it. But I would love to have been given that opportunity.
It's not too late. You're still young.
Yeah. Well,
no, it's never late for anybody. Like, you know, I was reading about the life of George Harrison, right, the other day. He considered himself a gardener first and then a musician.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
That was incredible. He felt that he needed to be in touch with the earth, with the ground, touch the earth. And that is what gave him the feelings about, you know, many of the songs he wrote, right?
Well, yes, it brings out creativity.
Sun, right?
Yes, it does. It brings out creativity too. It really, you know, it really does.
And yeah, it's important because it's, for me, like I'm a musician too, right? And I've written this song that's called Pachamama, which is the Inca language for Mother Earth, right? So coming from Peru, the Incas, for example, had a lot of respect for the earth. They call it the Mother Earth, and you know, the sun, they were the main two gods, right? And every agricultural farm had a pyramid where they would honor the earth for giving them the fruits they were having, right? Everything revolved around agriculture. And I think at this point in age in our planet, we're starting to realize, like, look at what's happening right now. The weather in Toronto today is amazing, but in the 27 years that I've been in this city, I never experienced this kind of weather. We are pretty much almost in summer.
Yes, yes.
Pretty much we'll be able to grow mangoes here. So there's an imbalance happening now in the planet. Is showing, you know, by the weather patterns that we're having.
Yes.
So there's a lot of awareness that we have to get about the earth, right? How to respect it, how to deal with it, how to get back to this balance, right? I went to the Rome a couple of days ago, the museum, right, to see beautiful presentations they have there. But they had one about the animals, and there was a nice little quote there saying that there's always been extinction of species in the earth, but never at such accelerated rate like we have now, mainly caused by human beings. So we have to go back to basics to understand what life is all about, right? Like the gentleman before me, he was talking about the greed. Greed is what's taking us away from the real values of life. There is enough food in this planet to feed the whole human race 10 times over, right? But why aren't we doing that? Because of greed. People throw sometimes food to the ocean or they burn it because it's going to flood the market and lower the price. I can't believe that we do that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we have excesses that we have to get into balance. We have to come in touch with our consciousness, right? Greed is what is killing us, right? And then the earth really teaches us what is valuable, right?
Is that what foods of the earth?
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, foods of the earth is a redundant name because foods come from the earth, right? Agriculture, but it's foods made by the earth, not by the corporation, right? I mean, nothing against the good people that are making great food, but unfortunately, the earth knows how to make a tomato. The earth knows how to make a beautiful papaya. That's magic, isn't it magical?
Yes.
You plant this incredible seed. How how can you know, I cannot fathom sometimes the beauty of the earth, the beautiful colors. Like I am the one that puts the fruit plate together at home. The color of the mango, the color of the avocado, the color of the papaya. It's just an incredible rainbow, super incredible energy, right? So, but now we're starting to tamper with it, with the GMOs and all of that. I mean, I have respect for the improvement of life, but we have to go in balance with nature, right? So for me, Foods of the Earth is, yes, I help the earth and the earth. It's a partnership. The earth produces it, and I spread it around for people, right? And I try to be fair with my, you know, markup and whatever. For me, the main concern is to feed human beings. I agree with something that Rudolf Steiner, the famous Rudolf Steiner, the Austrian visionary that created the Waldorf schools, he's the one that started biodynamic farming. Agricultural farming was started by Rudolf Steiner, right? And his main concern was always about service. And he said, while all these activities of human endeavor are focused on profits, on greed, there will never be service. We got to focus on the service itself, and the rewards come naturally. Like it's true what Christ said once. I'm not religious, but this is true. Seek thee the kingdom of heaven first, and everything will come to you. There's a magical law of nature that when you give, you receive. You do a good service, it'll come back to you. Right now, we have money as the essence of reward, but it's getting out of hand, right? What is the cost of a tomato? I'm not asking today the super, but what is the real cost of a tomato? It could be billions of dollars. How can you manufacture?
How can you
First of all,
measure
you need
that?
a planet that's got oxygen and soil, and those are expensive.
And those are expensive. You know, that's a good point, Hugh, because are we going to start charging for the rays of the sun? Are we going to start charging for oxygen?
And for breathing, yes.
I heard they're going to privatize the sun.
Patented, maybe. Some
Let's patent
mad
the sun.
scientists. But they're trying to patent the tomatoes. They're trying to patent the potatoes. They're trying to patent the soya.
Yeah.
The GMO companies, right?
Yes, yes.
We're getting a little out of hand here. So nature is really reminding us. The earth is starting to react. This beautiful planet that gave us life, you know, He gave you your life. We come from the earth and the sun and the elements, right? God created, or whatever energy beautiful, let's call it God. I'm not a religious person, but it's obvious that there's a great power that created all this, right? Give you the eyes, give you your head, your hair, whatever. Give us a face that we deserve, whatever. Look at my nose. Anyway, anyways, this is the point. There's a power, right, that is generating life, that creating life, right? And we have to work with it, not try to tamper with it, right? The earth is that being that gave us the life, has its own awareness. I talk to the earth, I walk on the earth, I feel it. It's a living organism, has its own immune system. So we have to be prepared, because the immune system of the earth is ready to do its job pretty soon. Look at all the reactions that we're getting, the floodings, the tsunamis, the earthquakes. It wants to go back to balance, right? Not even the dinosaurs that were here over 250 million have created the havoc that we have created in what, 50,000 years? So we got to get back to basics. That's the idea. Hello.
Yeah, you're just look at that, Charles.
Too much energy.
So the foods of.
They're just jumping around here.
This is because he's too excited.
It's a lot of energy.
So excited.
This feels good. This is green color. I really like this.
It's St. Patrick's Day.
It's actually the CN Tower.
I'm Charles Patrick, by the way.
It's actually St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
So yes, I am wearing a green shirt.
Good, excellent.
Yeah.
Me too.
Well, my second name's Patrick, so there you go.
Oh, there you go.
I have
Perfect
Irish, English, Scottish. What else do we have? Peruvian, Inca, Spanish, and Italian. So the whole, a whole bunch of the world is here.
You know, that book, The Celestine Prophecies. You know, it's all about following. And they went down to Peru, right, in the book, and it's all about following the synchronicities. And Charles, I just gotta say, I used to live on Beresford Avenue.
There you go.
Did you?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So did I.
That's a relative.
So did I.
What?
I did.
Look at that. So there's a camera with Beresford here today.
Oh my God! Did you used to live on Beresford Avenue?
Yeah.
Wow. There's a Beresford in Yang too. So there's a couple of streets with our name.
Okay, I want to ask you this.
I didn't live with him.
Okay.
I would have known that, probably. Okay, it's 2012, Charles. It seems like we're doing all this stuff, like all this genetic modification, Monsanto, you just name it. Not to mention the political situation,
so, in other words, what does he think is going to happen in 2012? I knew there is a cup on the floor that Hugh just knocked over as well.
Okay, so it's like we got all this stuff, Charles, going on. Are we going to be able to rise above it all, or are we going to hit the wall? Are we going to? Is it all over?
Well, it's a very interesting topic, right? Because there's a lot of different theories. I even have a guy that sends me emails every day if I already bought my 2012 rescue package, right?
Yeah.
The guy's making a fortune with it. Anyway,
that's an industry.
Anyway,
yes.
But okay, this is the thing. What do I feel personally in my own intuition in connection with the Earth? I think we are evolving. Changes have always happened in the Earth. I was looking at how the continents have shifted over the millions of years. It keeps happening, and the Earth does it when it deems it's convenient for it to rearrange itself. We're going through major shifts. We have to. There's no, it's inevitable. So yeah, there's more geophysical changes that are going to happen that are going to affect our way of doing things for sure. So we can be more in synchronicity and in balance with planet Earth. That's a fact. We have to be more in synchronicity with the planet, respecting, like Steiner said, the laws that govern the universe so we can live in harmony with them, right? So yes, this 2012, look at the weather. Have you ever been in this kind of weather? No. Like again, 27 years in Toronto, I never felt this weather before in my life.
Yeah.
Have you? Do you remember?
No. Not this good this soon.
It's great.
Yeah, it is great.
But it's like, somebody was telling me last night, it was warm last night. I said, oh, something's up, something's coming. And it's true. So, we're out of balance. We have to go back to balance.
But, I heard that they're talking about a potential pole shift, and that the Inuit in Greenland saw the sunrise 2 days early this year. Maybe somebody else did a calculation based on that, and that we are actually like about 80 miles further south, according to the new polls, where it's at now, than we were, say, even a couple of years ago.
Well, for sure, they say when the earthquake in Chile happened and in Japan, the earth poles shifted. But again, it's happened before. So it isn't like, this big cosmic prediction. It's a reality that the poles will shift again.
So
this used to be tropical,
so
right?
is this natural? Is this a natural evolutional cycle?
It is a totally natural evolutionary cycle, which happened before. And again, the Earth does it when it's good for its balance, right? So it shifts things around. I mean, we're causing a lot of havoc as human beings, all these wars and all these big guys that think they control the world. I mean, God bless our, good people in the government, like the gentleman before me was saying. It's great that there's people with good intentions, but unfortunately, everybody's focusing on something. Greed, money, profit, right?
Yeah.
We have to forget about all that stuff.
Got to change the financial system.
Exactly.
I think that is the root. If we can change that, then we can start to reward people for better behavior.
Exactly. And what I always say is this. Right now, our system is like a train that has an incredible, unstoppable momentum.
Yeah.
It's like you're born into this world and people tell you, run. And you say, why? Like I went to a shrink for a whole year, right? And he ended up freaking out with me. He said, I think you're beyond my capacity of dealing with you. I was 17.
That's a great compliment.
I started questioning life, saying, why do we have to do this? Or why do I have to go to university and study this and do that? And of course, I was a hippie. I had my hair down to here, so I was questioning life. But this life is like this. They tell you, run. And say, why? Shut up and keep running. Don't question
Don't ask why.
This is the way to go.
Yeah.
So, and if you question it, you're weird, right?
Yeah.
So this is my advice. This train is unstoppable. Get out of it while you have time. And tell other people to get out of it, too.
Now, do you think time is running out, Charles?
It's running out.
Okay.
And that's why the Occupy movement, maybe it's not super organized, but the intention is the one. People are fed up with the system. Right? There's a few on the top that are controlling the ones on the bottom. It's a real pyramid system, and it's going to fall. Talking about pyramids being illegal, of course this system is illegal where it counts in human law, to me, in my law, in my books. So like me, there's millions now that are questioning, hey, this is not working. So let's get out of the train, let it go. It's going to go and fall down the cliff. It is already. Economies are collapsing. The whole planetary, ecological system is having problems. So let's get out of it and do something different. That's my invitation to the whole humanity. That's my message through my work in agriculture and my music, right? Because that's my other side. I mean, I'm a musician first, and then an agricultural person.
Okay.
Well, we're going to get a chance to see, actually, a video of your Pachamama song.
The song called Pachamama. This is a message from the earth that I feel that I have channeled.
Yeah.
Right? Like I was talking to the Peruvian commercial attaché who invited you both to the Peruvian cocktail the other day. He heard the song, right? We were at the party, and he said, Charlie, this is a message from the earth. I hadn't told him anything. And the earth is lamenting. He got the message of that song. So this song has a message for transformation, right, for human beings. Music reaches beyond intellect, right?
Yes.
Goes to your heart.
Yes.
And the essence of the song is the heartbeat of the earth beating, right? And the music is the message. So it's written for the earth. Okay. Like most of my songs are written for the earth, right, and the feelings of human beings.
Well, we're going to hear the song right now, or watch the video. And Charles, we got to get you back because I feel we've just scratched the surface. But I also want to say, just stay tuned because we're going to continue this conversation. Jacob Kiri-Moreland is here from the Occupy movement.
Okay.
Occupy Gardens for World Peace. This is about Occupy and agriculture.
Beautiful. I just want to say one thing before we go, real quick, if you don't mind. I just learned a few months ago, and this is a message for everybody, okay? More than 47% of our foods in the supermarket are now GMO, okay? All due respect to the good people that are trying to make food better, but we don't know what the consequences are.
That's
yet.
right. That's because they have not done
I was eating
testing.
one of the products, I had to stop because my colon started bleeding. That's the truth. So I stopped, and it stopped. So I had an allergic reaction. There's an epidemic of allergic reactions to food growing around the world. So let us not tamper with nature. The only way to avoid these days eating GMO food is eating organic, right? Or from countries like Peru that have banned GMO, or other countries around the world that have banned the GMOs, but their governments are requiring the suppliers to label the food as GMO. We don't have such law in Canada because we're producers of GMO. There's a movement that has started in British Columbia where thousands of people in Canada are signing up to petition the government to start enforcing the labeling regulations so people can know what the hell they're eating. That's a right we all have. That's a message I want to give you today.
And one thing I do know to add to that, when you're buying produce, if every piece of produce has a code on it.
Yes.
Okay, if it says 9, if the first digit is 9, it's organic. If it's 4, it is pesticide. It's not organic, so it's pesticides and herbicides. If it's 3, it's GMO.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we can
GMOs are supposed to have the code 8 before the PLU number, but nobody uses it, okay? So if you want more information, you can go to my website. It's
www.foodsoftheearth.com.
And I can help people with when it comes to food. And there's some beautiful songs in that website too. Wow. I feed people's bodies and minds, and I feed people's hearts with the music.
Okay. Charles, thanks for
beautiful.
coming in.
Thank you so much.
You guys are super.
You have a beautiful nose.
Great energy.
You have a beautiful nose.
Thank you very much. It's the second time I heard. My wife told me to. I have to learn how to love.
It doesn't need any powder.
It's a nose of news, according to a guy that does personology.
Okay, so here's the song, the video, Pachamama. Thanks, Charles. We'll get you back. We'll continue this again.
The video is from Prince Charles Foundation for the deforestation of the earth. Right, so we've included my song. So good for Prince Charles. He's doing a lot of good work that way.
Awesome.
Okay, great. And then we're going to come back with Jacob, Occupy Gardens for World Peace, here on thatchannel.com. welcome back. So that was that song Pachamama by Charles Beresford, and kind of set the mood, eh?
Nice vibe.
Yeah.
Very nice vibe. Beautiful.
And we're going to sort of continue on because we've got Jacob Curie-Moreland here. Jacob, great to have you back on the show.
It's great to be back, Hugh.
Now, you're doing this Occupy Gardens for World Peas, right?
Yeah.
Give peas a chance.
Yep, for sure.
Okay. Now, we had, before we get into that, some people were saying that there was an Occupy march today.
Yeah, it was supported by Occupy. There's a march, solidarity against austerity, and I was on my way here. I saw them marching, probably anywhere between 500 and 1,000 people.
Wow.
Queen's Park, in anticipation of the upcoming cuts that were proposed in the Drummond Report.
Is this provincially?
Provincially, yeah.
Okay. What were some of those cuts?
I'm not sure exactly what the recommendations were.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to read the report entirely, but the report recommended certain cuts, and so now the province is going to be deliberating and doing consultations to figure out exactly where they can save money and.
Well, cut real services and give more money to the banks for the interest, right? That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
170 million we're paying in interest or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Now, Jacob, didn't you write an article about austerity?
Yeah, so about a month and a bit ago, I was watching online, and I was watching Athens go up in flames as the city devolved into anarchy.
Based on cuts, austerity.
Based on another round of austerity cuts being imposed upon them by European central banks. And so I started thinking about austerity and how my little village city of Aurelia is going through austerity, and we can't fund services for at-risk youth and all these serious issues because we don't seem to have enough money, they tell us. Even though the money has not disappeared, it's just been reallocated to
how could we afford
pockets.
Certain things a few years ago, and now we can't afford it all of a sudden?
Yeah.
It's curious.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Well, some would say that's because we had a recession. Others would say there was a robbery.
Yeah.
And so in my column, I use the metaphor of the economy as household management. And I create a little story about a family with two working parents, and the husband works very hard to support his family, and he's very stressed, and once in a while he likes to gamble and invest the money, and he's pretty lucky, and so he often wins, and he's able to buy extra things for his family, and then all of a sudden his friends invite him to go down to Vegas, where he goes on a gambling binge, and he ends up losing the life savings of his family. And he comes back to home, and he doesn't tell his family what happened, and after a few weeks, once a collection agency starts calling, his wife asks him what's up, and he says everything's okay and everything will be fine. But she knows differently, and she challenges him, and he says, okay, I really screwed up, but I can fix it, and I will fix it, don't worry. And so he runs out of ideas, he doesn't know what to do, and so he goes back to the casino and asks them what to do, because they seem to be pretty good with money. Yeah. And they know where it comes from and how to make it. And so they recommend to him that he should take out another loan, and then to impose austerity on his family, to make cuts in their family budget. Cheaper food, and so he tells his wife that she's going to have to work longer hours, not considering that she already works 2 jobs, not to mention upkeeping the house. He tells his kids that they're going to have to do without school, and he cuts their allowance. And he tells his mom, the kid's grandma, that she's going to have to live without her medicine because it's just too expensive.
Yeah, that's about it.
And so he invests a little bit of the extra money on a new lawnmower, and every Sunday he goes out and he keeps mowing the front lawn to maintain the image of success to his neighbors so that they don't suspect that anything's wrong. And all the while, his family has been in the backyard, his parents and his wife and his kids growing a beautiful garden. a healing garden, a teaching garden, and a health garden. And so the moral of the story is that he's off in his own land, seduced by his own power and stressed out, not realizing that his family is coming up with alternative solutions to manage their own lives. And so I hope that the husband realizes that he has support, that the man realizes that he has support from his family, the wisdom of his elders and the creativity of his youth and the love of his partner.
Well, this kind of ties into what you're doing with the Occupy Garden for World Peace, which is weird synchronicity with Charles, our last guest.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So Occupy Gardens is a growing collective of gardeners in Toronto and in cities around the world. And we've been plotting for the last 5 months various creative actions around the city and growing community food gardens in vacant spaces and underutilized spaces around the city. And building a community of people based around food. Mm-hmm. And we're educating people about how to garden, and we're connecting them with the land, resources, and skills needed to grow their own food.
You know, it's so, I mean, Charles mentioned, or somebody, maybe, I don't know, but I notice it too. When I drive around, the city's growing so fast, right? Mm-hmm. When I take a drive along the 407, and I remember when that used to be farmland, it's almost like it's like I get a very sick feeling to my stomach because we're paving over the very best land in Canada.
Yes, we are. Yes.
I try to look on the bright side. The bright side is that most of southern Ontario now has small plots of land, i.e. residential building lots, with irrigation, you know, utilities, electricity, and stuff like that. Do you think it's possible in an urban environment to be self-sufficient in food? Can we grow intensively?
Like, probably not just backyard farming.
Yeah.
Just because there's not enough land compared to how many people there are. But last summer I read a book called The Vertical Farm, which was this professor has been on a crusade for the last 10 years. I forget his name, but he wrote this book, and he's been touring all around the world spreading this message, and all these architects are designing these pretty much skyscraper farms. They look like greenhouses stacked one on top of each other.
That's a good idea.
And they're the idea is to design these buildings like you would an ecosystem. And so the buildings are integrated within the wastewater systems, the energy systems, and the food system within the city. And so they harvest energy, water, and food. And the idea is that we have the technical capabilities to produce an abundance of food in giant skyscrapers in the city, in urban farms, that could be automated, self-sufficient, and so maximizing space. And so our ultimate goal would be to convert the banks downtown into these giant skyscraper farms and turn them into food banks. And anybody can go in.
There you go. The bank and food becomes a food bank. What an ingenious idea.
So a few weeks ago we had an action.
That works.
In front of the Toronto Stock Exchange. We had a seed exchange in front of the stock exchange. And we had about 50 gardeners come down in this wind tunnel sharing these little seeds in front of the stock exchange as part of a global day to occupy our food supply. And so this action was in solidarity with 60 other cities around the world.
So you're giving them out to all these suit and ties?
We were giving them out to some suit and ties. And I offered some to the police that arrived there before us because they creep our Facebook and our website and come to all of our events.
Okay.
Just for fun. And but we were trading them with each other, and we made a film and did interviews, and we made music. And
what was the response of the people?
The people had an amazing time.
Good. And the suits and ties, did they actually accept the stuff that you were giving them?
Some of them did. Some of them were interested in what we were doing and asking questions, and others just seemed so stressed and too busy to even bother, and they were just on their way to get to where they're going.
Or on their way to get their GMO'd lunch, right?
Yeah.
So, so the Occupy movement's not dead, and you're working on the food aspect of it, which is what it sounds like people need to do.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like people need to take control of their own food growing situation.
Well, that's number one. Survival is about you need to eat, right?
Yeah.
Food and shelter, I think, is number one.
Now, is there a way for people to participate with you in this, Jacob?
For sure. So the Occupy movement is a decentralized, participant-driven movement. And so Occupy Gardens, we use social media to communicate and to coordinate collective actions, but we also encourage people to join local gardens in their neighborhoods, in their front yards, backyards, and engage the people in their local surroundings.
Do you have a website?
There's no website, but there is the Facebook page,
Okay.
Occupy Gardens Toronto. There's Twitter, Occupy Gardens TO, and we send out an email newsletter once or twice a week with all of our events and updates.
Okay.
And we're working on building a website. One of the gardeners actually developed a website called www.extrashare.org with the goal of providing a map that anybody can update extra land or seeds or tools or labor or knowledge on this site so that people are able to share whatever abundance they may have. And so people all around the city have been posting up their backyards and front yards and their extra seeds, and they're connecting that way as well.
Have you guys thought of hooking up at all with the Zeitgeist movement? Because they talked about doing some stuff like this.
Yeah, so on Saturday I gave a lecture at Z-Day.
Oh, okay, there you go.
At OISE.
Okay.
And I gave a lecture last year on the same topic, essentially.
Okay.
At that time, I was calling it Gardeners Without Borders.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And my intention for the last few years has been to connect up with various global social movements, to try to meet as many people as I can, and to diffuse my garden propaganda to grow world peace.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Occupy Gardens is the latest manifestation of that. But the Zeitgeist movement, and especially the concept of a resource-based economy, is one that we'll be applying within this project. And so there's no monetary exchange within the organization. Rather, we focus on utilizing the resources creatively and efficiently that we already have to produce an abundance of things we actually need.
Mm-hmm.
And so quite literally turning the waste and should of society into an abundance of things we need.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of the things we need exist already between us as a community. It's simply a matter of learning to share, and the rest of it falls freely from the sky.
Mm.
Wow, that's very beautifully put, actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well,
Wow.
Jacob, this is great to have you on. It was a good
summary
and synchronicity with the other guests today. And,
absolutely.
And
we're having a gardeners assembly on Tuesday, March 20th, from 6 to 9 in the South Dining Room at Hart House, U of T.
Okay.
And from 4 to 6, before the gardeners assembly, we'll be gardening around the campus. And so people can meet us at 4 p.m. in front of Hart House.
Is it guerrilla gardening?
We'll be doing possibly some guerrilla seeds. I actually brought some peas in my pocket.
Are these world peas?
These are world peas. They were gifted to me by a woman who was gifted to them by another woman who was living in Northern Ontario, who heard about our World Peas Expo and was so excited that she managed to get me these peas that were delivered to me down at the stock exchange. And so I've been planting a pea everywhere I go in little gardens and hoping to...
That's really
awesome.
That's really cool.
This is, gifting is a new way of paying for things now.
Yeah.
It's no more paying. We're now gifting. That's the new economy. That is so cool.
That is very cool. Okay.
You can make a necklace out of that, too.
Well, then you wouldn't be growing world peas.
The bad ones, the ones that you can't grow, you can actually recycle.
Okay. All right, Jacob. This is great. Thanks for coming in. Is there a web contact info?
So we do Facebook, Twitter, and email. And the Facebook is Occupy Gardens Toronto.
Okay.
And our global solidarity campaign is Occupy Gardens for World Peace. And our Twitter is Occupy Gardens TO. And our email is occupygardenstoronto@gmail.com.
Okay. All right, Jacob. Thanks for doing this today.
Thank you so
Best
much.
of luck with everything.
Continued success, yes.
And I want to get my hands dirty this summer.
I'd love to get dirty with you too.
Okay. We'll.
I'm not touching that one.
Okay, that's it for the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back on Monday for more Liquid Lunch right here on thatchannel.com.
Enjoy the day.
See you then.
If you're in Toronto.